Hello, in this video we'll be discussing about the permeability of the lipid bilayer. We have already discussed about the lipid bilayer structure. So, because of the chemical and the structural nature of the phospholipid bilayer, we have discussed that in the center the hydrophobic core is present and the phospholipid is consists of a polar head and the hydrophobic tail. So in that you can see that only lipid soluble molecules and the fat soluble molecules, they are permeable to the membrane. So the lipid soluble molecules and small molecules are able to freely pass through the lipid bilayer. So what about the ions and about the large molecules? Generally the ions and the large polar molecules, they cannot pass through the lipid bilayer. So you can see the permeability is very low. So generally the movement of the molecules is depend on what? It depends generally upon the size and the charge or the electrical nature. Okay, so the membrane is highly permeable to non-polar, that is the fat soluble molecules, and the permeability of the membrane to polar or water soluble molecule is very low, and the permeability is particularly low to large polar molecules. And what about the charged ions? The permeability to the charged molecular species, that is the ions, are very low. Therefore, the basis of most solubles and ions is guarded by the presence of specific membrane transport proteins or channels. Okay, so the gases like oxygen, carbon dioxide, the steroid molecules, and the fat soluble vitamins, that is A, D, E, K, are permeable to the lipid bilayer, and in some extent some polar molecules are capable of permeating the lipid bilayer without the aid of any transport protein or channels. For example, the water, glycerol, urea, and the ethanol. So let's discuss some of the questions, then we'll get a better idea about the permeability. The first question is, a plasma membrane is made up of purely lipid. Some statements are given below. The first statement is gases are permeable through plasma membrane. It is correct. The next is the uncharged compounds are completely permeable through plasma membrane. Glucose is impermeable because it need a carrier protein or channel. Calcium ion are permeable. It is not true. Charged molecules are impermeable. It is true. Urea and water are slightly permeable. So from the 1, 3, 5 and 6, these statements are correct. So the correct option is 4. The next question is, a lipid bilayer is permeable to, first one is urea, then fructose, glucose, and potassium. It is, except urea, all needs a carrier protein or a channel. So the answer is urea. Next is, arrange the following in the decreasing order of their permeability. The first is urea, then glucose, water, Na plus, and tryptophan. We have already discussed that the ions are low permeable. So you can neglect the B and D. So from A and B, answer is C. The next one is the correct decreasing order. In this case, oxygen is permeable. We have already discussed the gases like oxygen, carbon dioxide, they are permeable. Na plus, that is the ion, is impermeable. It is very less permeable. So the option is B. The next question is diffusion from highest to lowest. Here also the chloride ion present, that is impermeable, and the toluene, which contains a methyl group, it is permeable, and galactose, it's a sugar, so it needs a carrier protein or channel. The correct option is D. So this is all about the permeability of the lipid bilayer. You just need to remember that the ions are less permeable or impermeable. The fat soluble vitamins, steroid molecules, the gases, they are permeable. Large polar molecules, they are less permeable. Small molecules can pass, they are permeable. So this is all about the permeability through a lipid bilayer. I hope it